heaven and hell. Heaven is distinguished into two kingdoms. 20. As there are infinite varieties in heaven, and no one society nor even any one angel is exactly like any other, there are in heaven general, specific and particular divisions. The general division is into two kingdoms, the specific into three heavens and the particular into innumerable societies. The details will be treated of in what now follows. They are termed kingdoms because heaven is called the kingdom of God. There is infinite variety and nowhere anything the same as another. Also, in the heavens there is infinite variety, and those varieties are varieties of good, and thus all the societies in the heavens and every angel in a society are distinguished from each other, but still all make one by love from the Lord. 21. There are angels who receive more interiorly the divine that proceeds from the Lord, and others who receive it less interiorly. Those who receive it more interiorly are called celestial angels, but those who receive it less interiorly are called spiritual angels. Hence it is that heaven is distinguished into two kingdoms, one of which is called the celestial kingdom, the other the spiritual kingdom. Heaven as a whole is distinguished into two kingdoms, a celestial kingdom and a spiritual kingdom. The angels of the celestial kingdom receive the divine of the Lord in their voluntary part, thus more interiorly than the spiritual angels, who receive it in their intellectual part. 22. The angels who constitute the celestial kingdom, because they receive the divine of the Lord more interiorly, are called interior and also higher angels. Consequently, the heavens which they constitute are also called interior and higher heavens. Number sign. The reason they are termed higher and lower is because interior and exterior things are so called. The heavens that constitute the celestial kingdom are termed higher, while those that constitute the spiritual kingdom are called lower. Interior things are portrayed by higher things, and higher things signify interior things. 23. The love in which those are who are in the celestial kingdom is called celestial love, which is love to the Lord. Those who are in the spiritual kingdom are in the love called spiritual, which is charity towards the neighbor. And as all good is of love, for that which anyone loves is to him good, therefore also, the good of the one kingdom is called celestial, and the good of the other spiritual. Hence it is evident in what respect the two kingdoms are distinguished from each other, namely, in the same way as the good of love to the Lord is distinguished from the good of charity towards the neighbor. Because then, the good of love to the Lord is an interior good, and that love is interior love. So the celestial angels are interior angels and are called higher angels. The good of the celestial kingdom is good of love to the Lord, and the good of the spiritual kingdom is good of charity towards the neighbor. 24. The celestial kingdom is also called the priestly kingdom of the Lord, and in the word, his dwelling place, while the spiritual kingdom is called his royal kingdom, and in the word, his throne. From the celestial divine, the Lord in the world was called Jesus, and from the spiritual divine, he was called Christ. 25. The angels in the Lord's celestial kingdom, because of their more interior reception of the divine of the Lord, are excel in wisdom and glory the angels who are in his spiritual kingdom, for they are in love to the Lord and consequently are nearer and more closely conjoined to him. These angels are such because they have received and continue to receive divine truths at once in their life, and not in previous memory and thought, as do the spiritual angels. So they have divine truths written in their hearts, and they perceive them, and, as it were, see them in themselves, nor do they ever reason about them, whether they are true or not. They are such as are described in Jeremiah. I will put my law in their mind and will write it in their heart. They shall teach no more every one his friend and every one his brother, saying, Know Jehovah. They shall know me, from the least of them even to the greatest of them. Jer. 31, 33, 34. And they are called in Isaiah, taught of Jehovah. Isaiah 54, 13. That the taught of Jehovah are those who are taught by the Lord. He himself teaches in John 6, 45, 46. The celestial angels are incomparably wiser than the spiritual angels. What is the distinction between the celestial angels and the spiritual angels? The celestial angels do not reason concerning the truths of faith, because they perceive them in themselves, but the spiritual angels reason concerning them whether it is so or not so. 26. It has been said that these angels have wisdom and glory above others for the reason that they have received and continue to receive divine truths at once in their life. For, as soon as they hear divine truths, they will them and do them instead of storing them up in their memory and afterwards considering whether they are true. Such angels know at once, by influx from the Lord, whether the truth which they hear is true, for the Lord inflows immediately into a man's willing, but immediately through his willing into his thinking. Or, what is the same, the Lord inflows immediately into good but immediately through good into truth. Number sign for that which belongs to the will and action therefrom is called good, while that which belongs to the memory and to thought therefrom is called truth. Indeed, every truth is changed into good and implanted in love as soon as it enters the will. But so long as truth is in the memory and in the thought therefrom, it does not become good, nor does it live, nor is it appropriated to man, since man is man from his will and thence from his understanding, and not from his understanding separated from his will. The Lord's influx is into good, and by good into truth, and not the reverse, thus into the will, and by it into the understanding, and not the reverse. The will of man is the very being of his life, and the receptacle of the good of love, while his understanding is the existing existere of his life therefrom and the receptacle of the truth and good of faith. Thus the life of the will is the chief life of man, and the life of the understanding goes forth therefrom. Whatever is received by the will comes to be the life, and is appropriated to man. Man is a man from his will and his understanding therefrom. Moreover, everyone who wills and understands rightly is loved and valued by others, while he who understands rightly and does not will well is rejected and despised. Also, after death man remains such as his will and his understanding therefrom have been, while the things that pertain to the understanding and not also to the will then vanish, because they are not in the man. 27. Because of this difference between the angels of the celestial kingdom and the angels of the spiritual kingdom, they are not together nor do they associate with each other. They are able to communicate only through intermediate angelic societies which are called celestial spiritual. Through these, the celestial kingdom inflows into the spiritual, and from this it comes about that, although heaven is divided into two kingdoms, it nevertheless makes a one. The Lord always provides such intermediate angels through whom there is communication and conjunction. Between the two kingdoms there is communication and conjunction by means of angelic societies which are called celestial spiritual. The influx of the Lord through the celestial kingdom into the spiritual. 28. As much will be said in what follows about the angels of these kingdoms. Particulars are omitted at this stage. Next, I will post an article that says there are 3 heavens. Thank you.